You have decided we're going to Serbia in the Ultimate Glory Hunter Challenge. You gave Hibernians from Scotland no chance, and you just rejected the offers from Midtjylland in Denmark and MTK Budapest in Hungary. So, after resigning from a job at IFK Mariehamn, we're going back to the Balkans to conquer Serbia. I had a choice between 3 clubs, all in danger of getting relegated from the top flight. The first one is Napreda Kruševac, who are an established top division side. However, in this save, they became a yo-yo club that cannot decide between playing in the first or second tier. The second choice is Spartak Subotica, who went on a massive fall and rise, and now are massively underperforming this season. And the third club is OFK Belgrade, who built themselves up in the save to the first tier, but have trouble staying up safely. I applied to all 3 clubs just in case. Spartak Subotica offered the contract first, and offered an insane transfer budget for the Serbian league. I delayed that offer and got an interview from OFK Belgrade, but they offered only a dime to spend on players. However, they're from the capital of Serbia, which made me consider taking charge of them to create the new major Belgrade derby. Spartak, on the other hand, offers a fast track in the region of Vojvodina, which has plenty of Hungarian residents. The deciding factor for me was in the past winners section. No team from outside Belgrade has won the Serbian league ever, including the save so far. We're not counting the Yugoslav league, and what's more, it's only Partizan and Crvena Zvezda who won it, with the exception being Cukaricki with 2 titles. But they're also from Belgrade, so the monopoly stands on. Even Obilic, who won the title once in the 90s, were located near the city center. You can tell how much this city dominated the Serbian game. And it's time to change that. We're taking charge of Spartak Subotica. And for those of you who voted for Hungary after I announced my decision in this post, Subotica is a city right by the border with Hungary and with a large Hungarian population, so I hope it's a fair compromise. One of the board objectives in Spartak is to spend the entire transfer budget, and to have some brilliant news in this context, as you can actually spend our 8 million euros by massively extending our scouting network. It's because Serbia and a bunch of Balkan countries joined the European Union somewhere around 2030. Which allows us to sign anyone from the EU without foreign players limits. And you know I'm going to go wild in the market, with a major chunk of the players being on the wrong side of 30 and some of them getting insane wages, which may disqualify our star player or an Ashkenazi. Also, who on earth hires this many people? I have 59 players in the first team and I have to clean it all up. We joined right at the start of the winter break. We may be outside the relegation zone, but only on goal difference. We owe that to the previous manager Alu Diara, with whom Spartak had catastrophic streaks of losses, and the usual tale of we're lacking staff members, which was the first thing I went on to fix. Then I took care of the squad itself, selling a whole bunch of players who are not good enough, and our playmaker Berkay Onur had difficult times adapting to Serbia, so I offered him a language course. The squad turned against me, and I somehow made a promise to bring in someone from Turkey. So, Jakub Issener from Giuseppe jumps in for just 55,000. The only other transfer is an Argentinian, Joaquin Mastrogiovanni, who was unhappy at Viking in Norway. We only have 10 games left to join the top 8, which will give us the championship group and much needed safety. I set our boys in a classic standard high pressing 4-3-3 to help the severely underachieving club turn things around. Our debut came against Grafičar Belgrade, but we did not play any football because their pitch was full of water. Come on, we could have at least played the water polo. So our real debut was against rock bottom Radnik Surdulica. We comfortably won 3-1 against them, but still were threatened with a relegation playoff. At the very least, I want to avoid any risk of going down this year and go for it all next year. With a fantastic financial backing from the Spanish owner Joan Camacho and a bunch of directors. We won 4 of our first 5 games in charge, putting us away from the relegation zone. The only loss had to be against the team we rejected, OFK Belgrade. But the real test was coming, and the opponents were Crvena Zvezda Belgrade. We will not use some red star thing in this video. We even scored a goal against them. It was offside. We weren't that far away from Serbia's biggest, but it was clear the away team had an advantage. Crvena Zvezda players used it to score 2 goals, one after a brilliant pass and the other from recycling a corner. This was a sign we will need to prepare massively for the next season if you want to win the league title fast. But we at least fulfilled our goal of qualifying to the championship group, with huge wins over Radnički Niš or Napredak Kruševac. But I have to tell you what happened in the latter game. Napredak's goalkeeper equalized in the 91st minute. It looked like we would end this game with a draw, which would drop us down to the relegation group. But thankfully Martin Radic showed up and scored the brace in stoppage time to rescue a win. Absolute cinema, I must admit. At least, we got to a place we wanted to be in, but with very little chance of getting anywhere higher than 7th. So it's pretty obvious we will use the last 7 games to evaluate our players, let our youth develop, and prepare for the next year. And we will have to do it without Oren Ashkenazi, who slipped down the stairs. Which coincidentally happened on April 1st, and I was recording this part on April 1st. Yes, it was an April Fool's joke. And the championship group itself might have shown we are already good enough to challenge for something. We won 5 games out of 7, including the ones against Partizan and Cukaricki. It didn't impact Partizan's season, but it did make Cukaricki lose the league title to the former. We finished the league in 6th place, as we managed to overtake Vojvodina Novi Sad and FK Voždovac. We did not have a real chance of going anywhere higher, but this half a season we played so far showed something massive. If we kept the points average in the entire season, we would win the league. Unfortunately, we started from way too far behind. But next year is our year, with plenty of money to spend on transfers. And so, we did. We raised even more money by selling a number of players and letting go people whose contracts ran out. We spent 4.8 million on Nikola Stancic from Partizan Belgrade and then sorted out our centre-back position. We loaned 2 youngsters from Crvena Zvezda, Nemanja Mihajlovic and Srdan Milisavljevic. We also got a permanent signing, a hometown boy, Nikola Kosic from Bačka Topola for 1.1 million. We also brought a new backup keeper, Milan Nowakov from Budućnost Podgorica, where we went on to manage as well, check the top right of your screen, and a left winger Alexander Petrov from CSKA 1948. These improvements have one goal only: get us to the league title. So it made perfect sense we are getting absolutely schooled in the season opener against FK Novi Pazar. Sure, Stancic scored in his debut, but it doesn't change the fact we lost the season opener, and Loznica wasn't any worse. Thankfully, Martin Radic gave us a draw. But this bad start made me go spend money again. $500,000 on the right back David Simic from Vojvodina Novi Sad, $1,200,000 on the playmaker Jasur Rahimov from Radnički Niš, a free agent, a left back Said Mostafa, and a big name, a winger in Victor Gonzalez from FC Augsburg for 1.4 million, because Petrov was injured quite heavily. Did all those new players lead to the results being any better? Surprisingly, yes. Our first win of the season was against Radnički Niš. We then scored 2 to win against Grafičar and 4 in the major Vojvodina derby against FK Vojvodina. These wins lifted us up to an early lead in the league, which is a good forecast before the game against the title holders, Partizan Belgrade. I was afraid we'll go back to losing in this particular game. But then, Isaac Meintanis cut inside and scored. Just a few minutes later, Isaac gave a pass to Berkay Onur, who doubled the lead. Partizan was powerless in this match, and most of the time didn't even come close. We finished them off in the 82nd, as Jasur Rahimov scored his first for the club. What a win! And it made perfect sense we lost to Radnički 1923. There's like 3 Radničkis in this league, and 1 more in the second tier. Thankfully, wins over Cukaricki and TSC Bačka Topola meant we're on pace with the title challenge. We're on top of the league, just ahead of Vojvodina, Partizan and Crvena Zvezda. We are going to play the last one in game week 14. A title fight is forming here. And as usual, I was afraid we're going to be shown our place in the pecking order. But Nikola Stancic, a Partizan homegrown, had that additional fire in his heart, launching a counter, which he finished by himself. He had another chance in the first half, but not so major. However, in the second, we thought we cleared out the game. Oren Ashkenazi found himself the best in the mess that was Crvena's penalty box. But in the 16th minute, we launched a counter, during which Kacper Flaszka was lying injured, and Crvena players, including the referee, completely ignored it, and they scored a long shot. With more and more chances looming large, I told my players to try to shut the game down, and we proceeded to concede almost immediately. And one more highlight appeared in the 90th minute. It was for Cvena, but we cleared it, only to a free kick taker Domenico Bostio, who found a way to give Cvena the winner. We went all out in hopes to rescue at least a point, and in the 93rd minute, we got a penalty. Nikola Kostic converted it and saved us a point, and some little advantage over Crvena Zvezda in the standings. I think that game was a carnage, and it deserves you clicking the subscribe button. This bottle didn't help in the cup as well, where we lost 11-10 on penalties to Radnički Sremska Mitrovica. After a 4-4 draw, a penalty shootout we had to save in the 98th minute anyway, in stoppage, not extra time. At least we took a 7-0 revenge in the league, with one of the most ridiculous own goals of all time. At the same time, Cukaricki Stankom got rid of their manager Bojan Ostojic, but seeing how far behind they were in the league, this move would make no sense. To confirm we're on the right track, we entered the winter break with 3 more wins and 2 draws. This includes a comeback win against Partizan Belgrade. We're now leading the standings with at least 5 points of advantage if Crvena Zvezda wins their game in hand. This is not a comfortable situation, but I wasn't looking to make any big moves, and I also mean my managerial swap. I'm not planning to move on before I win the Serbian league with Spartak, but I just realized how many cool places I'm missing out on. Only during my first year here in Subotica, vacancies opened up in places such as MTK Budapest, Slovan Bratislava, Hammarby IF, Baník Ostrava, Austria Wien, Maribor, Legia Warsaw, Red Bull Salzburg, FC Lugano, Manchester United as usual, or Dinamo Zagreb. So many places to go to, but they always have to pop up whenever I'm in a club. I'm not complaining, but it looks like after we win the Serbian league, we'll have to start our adventure in October or something. Speaking of winter transfers, I said I will not make any big moves, which is technically true, because I don't think signing Alexander Arboleda on a free or Miloš Radosavljevic for 300k are big moves, but both of these players have high potential. Then we returned to action with a game against Cukaricki and got absolutely thrashed. 5-1 to be exact. Napredak Kruševac also got one better of us, but I'm not surprised with that when Cecil Musuti Oko just gives the ball to the opponents. We at least won against FK Kolubara, Javor Ivanica, TSC Baćka Topola, Loznica or Grafičar Belgrade to keep the lead of the standings. Theoretically, Crvena Zvezda has 4 games in hand, and they won them all, which helped them take the lead of the league. Except they only salvaged a draw against Cukaricki, which reduced the gap between us and them to just 2 points. Our match in Game Week 29 will set the momentum for the rest of the season. He launches a long ball to Lysenko, he scored a penalty against Partizan in the derby, which was the winning one. This is not a penalty, ref, though, and he's going to check it on the VAR, knowing Crvena Zvezda this is going to be a pen. No penalty this time. Ichango loses possession to Stancic. Stancic drives forward, Gonzalez again on the left, can now cross it to the middle. Stancic. It's a play on advantage for Crvena from the throw-in again. Vijovic to Lysenko. Mastro Giovanni puts up a save. He loses the header, but Simic gets to it again. Recycling it with Radic. And I don't think it's a penalty, to be fair. But it looks like the referees are in our favor today. We have a penalty against Crvena Zvezda. It's Nikola Kostic. He already scored in the 96th minute. This time he scores again. And by 96th minute, I meant the previous match. Now Kostic does it again. He goes to Christensen. Loses possession to Stancic. Stancic dribbles past the opponent. Savchuk. Long ball to Gomic. I think he was offside. Seferis is definitely offside. Definitely offside. It's offside. We're holding off Crvena Zvezda very well. And we get our revenge for the previous match where they scored while our player was injured. Now this was the declaration of our title ambitions. Adding on a victory against rock bottom Radnički SM, we kept the lead into the final phase. The championship group starts now, and the first game is an early title decider against Crvena Zvezda. Puts the ball to the left, Gonzalez on the wing. Look for a cross, Stancic gets a header, Simoes makes a save though. Radic, Maintanis, finds Gonzalez into the penalty area, and I think he might try to make a shot from here. Hits the crossbar or the post. Advances forward, very far, that's good. Finds Emilov on the second side of the pitch. Great first touch. Terzic puts it into the empty net. We're taking the lead against Crvena Zvezda. It's a corner, short post. Emilov tries to clear it. Caballero to Joel. Passes back to Bosio. Żywkovic make it a draw. Bosio corner. That was way too long. Clear it. Wysenko Senehal to Caballero. Top corner. Is this the title charge over? You have a highlight straight from the kickoff and you can tell how much forward we're going. Terzic finds Terzic. I don't think Mejtanis was offside. Radic gets to it, hits the post. It was offside anyway. We literally need to count on Crvena Zvezda losing a single game and us winning everything. We potentially bottled the title here. Is this it? Are we going to be forced to stay in Serbia for another season? Or can we make a miracle? The next opponent was FK Vojvodina. And yes, this is the game where we lost our chances to win the league. They absolutely thrashed us. Going left, right, center, anywhere they wanted. And we didn't help ourselves with Sladan Ciric being sent off. Crvena Zvezda won their own game against Voždovac. And that means we were way off the pace. Cukaricki Stankom and Napreda Kruševac were both 2 old draws. Nikola Stancic's hat-trick against Partizan meant nothing, as Crvena Zvezda kept it cool. That means the title, hopefully for just one more season, stays in Belgrade. This bottle is simply generational. But I'm not going to leave Subotica without a league title. To make sure I don't move, I also signed a new contract. I'm not going to let this bottle get over my head and escape to Belgrade. No, the Partizan manager retiring is not changing that, and I mean it. Especially with European football coming up. I already did that in France, moving from Monaco to Paris Saint-Germain. Video on the top right, if you're interested. And so, I went to the market. We sold Matias Sapuncic for 700k to Sloboda Užice and Oren Ashkenazi to Maccabi Haifa for 140k. Sapuncic's replacement will be Ivan Milojevic from Kolubara for just 475k. Oren's will be Jakub Szczutowski from Legia Warsaw, who I signed on accident while waiting to confirm Jacin Batesti from Stade Rennes. There was also a massive hunt from half of the world to sign Nikola Stancic, with offers reaching 15 million euros. But I consistently said no to them, except the one on the deadline day from Alvechta, because it was at 17 million and I would break the promise if I didn't take it. We didn't make too many moves in the market in this window, and that proved to be the right decision. Our start to the season was perfect. We won every of our first 5 games, but even that did not make us the leaders of the table. The rest of the league has played 3 more games than us. That's because we are busy fighting for a place in Europe, the Conference League to be exact, where our first opponents were Die Verdange from Luxembourg, against whom we won twice with ease. Then it was Hafnar Boldfelak from Faroe Islands, and it's a good thing we won 4-0 at home in the first leg, because in the Faroes, Alexander Arboleda was pushed by Chris, who gave Hafnar the win. It didn't really matter though, as we could focus on the 4th qualifying round, where it's time to make a return to the Yugoslav days. We're playing against Hajduk Split at our home. The Croats wanted to show a bit of footballing magic. Passes back to Cheval. It looks like it will be a good pass to Vasa. I need to say it. It was a brilliant pass. Just 12 minutes later, Eloan Bernardini found some space and is going hot. Undergoing hot with a 2-0 goal. We didn't really show up until the second half, in which Martin Emilov received a cross and gave us 1 goal back. We lost our first leg to 1, and we knew we had to give it all to make a comeback in Poljud. However, it's Hajduk Split, the first European team to develop the Ultras section. They made sure it will be a tough game for us, but we still wanted to find a way. Stancic, who has some free space, gets past the opponent. It's an equalizer in the aggregate. Was slightly injured. Makes a pass to Vuksando, cuts inside. It took until the 70th minute mark for something to change. This is when we got a penalty. Nikola Kostic, obviously Nikola, has the chance, slots it home. Just 5 minutes later, we thought we completed our comeback. Finds Szczutkowski, finds Petrov on the wing. Stancic puts it over, but I think it's offside. But just a moment later, Stancic gets to possession, empty net for him. Hajduk's defensive midfielder must have felt bad about the previous goal being disallowed. And with Nikola Stancic putting it into the empty net, we have done it. We qualified for the Conference League league stage, and our fixture list makes it possible for us to go to the knockouts. So I'll just say, we were certain of it after the first 3 games, which we all won. Against GKS Katowice, Balkani from Kosovo, who conceded 6, and Linfield from Northern Ireland, who we scored 8 against. The stakes were higher now. We wanted to go directly to the round of 16. The first massive opposition was going to be Stade de Reims from France. Passes it back to Bierovka, Ambrosi. Brilliant first touches from the Reims players. Goliash on the left. Looks like he's going to pass it back to Silvestro, and this chaos results in a second goal for Reims. Back to Emilov. 1-2 from these 2 players. Tintor makes across to Gonzalez. Okay, we lost. But we still showed that we can fight with the teams from the top 5 leagues. So Sparta Prague, runners-up of the Czech League, should be a winnable tie. But their winger Miroslav Janča decided to have a free kick of his life. We had to resort to a centre-back making a terrible pass to equalize. And thankfully, a leading goal by Berkay Onur was a bit more normal. Unfortunately, we conceded an equalizer in the 88th minute. But that was a point at least, which after a 6-1 win over Dinamo Batumi proved to be vital. We qualified directly to the round of 16, where our opponents will be Paphos from Cyprus. But now it's time to go back to the league. We celebrated our promotion to the Conference League stage a little bit too hard, because we only got draws against Radnički 1923 and Novi Pazar. Other than that, we were near perfect. We kept steamrolling through the league, and this includes wins over other title contenders Crvena Zvezda, who we won against, thanks to a header from Victor Gonzalez, and Cukaricki Stankom, who we basically demolished. But we didn't forget how to bottle games. Partizan Belgrade equalized against us in the 93rd minute. We entered the winter break as not just the leaders, but also as invincibles. Unless we're talking about the cup, where second-tier Železničar defeated us in the first round. Even with that, our situation is looking great. We just have to make sure we don't bottle it like in the last season. So, in the winter transfer window, we said goodbye to Jakub Issener, who went to Liepaja in Latvia, and Victor Gonzalez, who is ready to conquer the top 5 leagues again, and went to Marseille for 2.5 million. The only signings we've made are Zoran Antic from Bačka Topola for 1.1 million, and a free agent Andres Rovira. These 2 transfers have one goal in mind: secure a league title, the first one ever won by a team outside of Belgrade. And so we kept pushing. February was perfect, with 5 wins out of 5, which increased our lead to 15 points. Could we become the Invincibles? Partizan Belgrade were going to verify that claim, and they verified it negatively. They just went on to thrash us, with a 3-0 result. This loss also put a hit on our results. With a draw against Novi Pazar, we at least won against Bačka Topola. And I probably know the reason behind those 2 bad results. We were tired after the Conference League round of 16 against Paphos from Cyprus. We first traveled to the island and showed we are the favorites. Andres Rovira scored 2 quick goals in the first half, and it looked like we will dominate the entire tie. But then, when I was busy making substitutions, our striker, Miloš Radosavljević, got sent off. I went strikerless, and right after, we conceded. And 81 minutes in, we conceded again, which means we bottled yet another win. Thankfully, there's a second leg near the border with Hungary. And there you guessed it, Marcelo Rose went on to score against us. Looks like we're getting knocked out, isn't it? If there's a man who can save us in this aggregate, it's Andres Rovira, who equalized with 20 minutes to go. Just 9 minutes later, he had another big chance, but hit the crossbar. And when we thought we'll go into the extra time, we got a penalty in the 94th minute. Andres Rovira can carry us to the quarterfinals. He's done it! We're making history in Subotica, and we'll have a chance to take on a revenge for the league stage. We'll be taking on Stade de Reims in the quarterfinals. We have a chance. Not the biggest of a chance, but we do have a chance. Sretenovic in the area, passes to Maintanis, and we're already taking the lead. Which puts us in a very difficult situation compared to Barros Rodriguez, who enters the area and he puts up an equalizer. Well, I think he was marginally offside though. But Arboleda puts it in for himself regardless, and it isn't offside. This will result in a third goal. You can see Rousseau. This is way too confident side. Barros Rodriguez, and it indeed is a third. This was a nice start to a disaster, but also enough evidence we can fight against the big leagues. So let's turn things around at home. Good cross, but Mastro Giovanni misses it. Batesti finds Rovira. I think it was too slow a little bit. Rovira to Radosavljevic. Brilliant strike. That looks like Dan Mikal Aras. Koulibaly. I thought he was making a long shot. With this aggregate loss, it's the 5th time we got knocked out in the European quarterfinals in this save. When will we finally get past that stage? We've wasted way too many chances in this save to win something. And I don't want us to lose the league title to Crvena Zvezda again. Cukaricki is a bit too far away. They are the 2 final opponents before the league splits into 2 groups. Win both and we can pretty much claim the league title. Finds Quesada on the right side. Low cross to Vujovic. Mareko to Živkovic. We clear it again. Quesada, he's already made the cross today. And this time he's going to shoot it by himself. Veljo Quesada, first goal of the season. It doesn't change the fact we've been abysmal today. At least TSC Bačka Topola won. Ilic. This time he loses possession with a too light of a pass. Radosavljevic puts a goal in. With a very narrow lead. And we have another throw-in for Cukaricki. Dojsa from close range. At the league split, our gap got reduced from 12 to just 9 points. Which means we're not that safe. But wins over Crvena, Cukaricki and Partizan, who all are our first 3 opponents in the championship group, will guarantee us the title. Kunsi cuts inside and Heidinger. It looks like Crvena Zvezda are going to get the 2nd goal. This is the team that reached the Conference League quarterfinal, by the way. Pintor to Antic. I don't think he was offside. The goal stands. We lost. We just lost the game. Gets a cross. Szczutowski in the close range. He finds a goal. Rovira. Rovira finds Meintani's back. And Meintani's doubles the lead. I was afraid he was going to win this header. Nemec. And this header actually goes in. But it's not going to stand again. Cukaricki are looking for the breakthrough and from a very close range. No. Just no. Finally. A win. I mean, finally. Only temporarily. Grelo. Čudic, and Čudic wins the header. Of course. Milojevic to Miloš Radosavljevic. Brilliant strike from outside the area. Stojanovic on the left. Finds Emilov. Don't think he was offside. Radosavljevic might have been offside. He's not. We're taking the lead. We didn't make things easy with a loss to Crvena Zvezda, but it's still far from over. We're still in the lead, but by just 6 points. A win against Bačka Topola would be crucial. But it's highlight an advantage for Bačka Topola. And not only they have the advantage, they might also win a penalty. Just no way. Kovacevic steps up and scores to the top corner. Spartak definitely can bottle stuff, but it's a highlight straight from the kickoff. Gets past the opponent, passes to Meintani's. Meintani's still has the speed. Berkay Onur makes a long shot, and then we instantly score within seconds. Waits for a right moment to pass and loses position instead, but wins it back. Jovovic with a deflection. It is a corner. Bad news, Crvena Zvezda turned the Belgrade derby around, which means after we got a huge 4-0 win over Vojvodina, they reduced their gap to just 4 points. But with 2 games to go, we can still clinch the title without a decider, as long as we win 1 single game. Eddie Roberts with a yellow though. Batesti, Sretenovic finds Radic. Brilliant! That was brilliant! Milosevic found some space behind our back line. And this looks like a penalty to me. Having to rely on Novakov to stop this penalty. Markovic scores. It's a highlight in advantage for Javor. No! We win possession. Radosavljevic. Go into the area, score it. He's done it. It looks like it will be the goal that gives a draw for Javor. It is. Brilliant. We definitely very want to lose it. There is absolutely zero way we bottle the title. The gap is 2 points ahead of the title decider. I told our boys that our form isn't the title winning one. And they got offended! Did we just find the highway to give the title away to Belgrade? We had 15 points of advantage, with 12 games to go. And now, the title can go again, all the way to Belgrade. Or will we have to struggle yet again? Which will be a matter of another episode. I'm not playing 3 seasons in a single episode. This is the last match of this video. Rankovic enters the area. Novakov at least catches it. Just don't. Just don't. Novakov catches it. I've gone for the crazy tactic right now. I'm not talking. Make a cross. Or pass to Petrov. Radosavljevic hits the crossbar. Title over. I cannot believe this, man. No way. This just happened. We've actually done it. We bottled the 15-point lead and lost the Serbian league title to Crvena Zvezda. Yet again. And this one actually hurts. The first title loss, the bottle from the season back, wasn't that painful. We were the underdogs. We weren't meant to win, even if we were leading by 5 points. But this one, wow. Just wow. We've actually done it. I don't know if I will even continue the adventure in Serbia or I will move somewhere else. I am genuinely thinking I should change countries. Maybe it's over in this place. Maybe we should go. I will leave that decision for the next episode. If you enjoy some Schadenfreude and like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be very grateful for that. We played in the Conference League in the final season of this episode, and turns out this competition had a little bit more success than us in Subotica. I go into the details of the reasons behind this competition's success in the video, which you can see on your screen right now.